Okay, hello everyone and welcome to the video. In today's video, we're going to look at how to do a bank reconciliation in Myob. And what we'll be looking at today is how to do the traditional method of reconciling a statement. So that is going into the reconcile accounts function here and working off your bank statement. We're not talking about reconciling using the bank feeds function here, but we will do that in a separate video. So in this video today, we're looking at the old school method of reconciling off a bank statement. So here we go, reconcile accounts. Now the first thing you have to do is select your bank account here. And we can see here our last reconciled date. The next thing you have to do is enter the closing date of your bank statement. So you pull out your bank statement, you look at the period it covers. So if we've just done April to 2018 here, that means we'll be doing probably the May month of 2018. So if your bank statement finishes on the 31st of May 2018, you enter that in here. Now if your bank statement only goes to the 28th of May 18, then you do that. So whatever your bank statement ends on, that is what we enter in here. And then you go to the closing balance of your bank statement and you enter that in this field here. So if the closing balance on your bank statement is $100,000 even, then you enter that here. So then what we have here is a list of all transactions that have been entered in Myob up until the date of 31st of May that have not been reconciled. So you'll see some stuff here that dates back to 2017. That means that this stuff has not been reconciled, and we'll come back to why they might be sitting there a bit afterwards. So all of these items here, these are transactions that have been entered. So we can see payment, a deposit, that means it's a payment on a sale. We'll have a look at that. We can open it up. Click on the sales entry here. And here it is. Invoice 28. There was 2 payments of $46.20 on this. And there's one of them there. So all of these items here are transactions that have been entered. And what I'll do, I'll untick everything. And then what you do is you pull out your bank statement. So basically what we're trying to do is get what is on the bank statement to match what is in Myob and vice versa. It has to reconcile. They have to be exact copies of each other. So you're going to pull out your bank statement, you're going to get out a red pen or a highlighter, and you're going to go down the list. And you're going to find, you can either go down the list here in Myob, or you can work down the list in the bank statement. It doesn't really matter, as long as everything matches once you get to the end. So you're going to go through, and we're doing May 2018, so most of that will be down here. And the dates are a few years old, and we have a lot of uncleared items here. It looks a bit funny. That's because we're using the sample file in Myob, which is now only read-only access. We're not allowed to write or process any transactions, but we should be able to work with this to show you what you need to do to finish off your bank rec. So all of these items here, you're going to go through down your list, and you're going to see on the 7th of May, there was a withdrawal for $1,000. And then we go to our bank statement, we see on the 7th of May, there was a withdrawal for $1,000. So we're going to tick it off here, and then we're going to tick it off or highlight it on our bank statement. We keep going down the list. We see on the 7th of May, there was a withdrawal for your super for $186.54. And we see on the bank statement, indeed there was a transfer of $186.54 on the 7th of May. So we tick it off in Myob, and then we tick it off on your bank statement. You keep going down. You see this $5,000 here. you go to your bank statement and you can't see the $5,000. It didn't happen. So that means something's up with this one. Because it doesn't match on our bank statement, we're not going to tick it. We carry on down the list. On the 11th of May, we see $250 came in here in Myob. We go to our bank statement. We see, yes, indeed, $250 did come in to the bank on 11th of May. So we tick it off here. We tick it off on the bank statement. Keep going down. We see $275 went out on the 11th of May in Myob. We go to the bank statement. There's no $275. It didn't happen. So we don't tick it off. We only tick off items that match the bank statement. Whatever's ticked in Myob here has to be ticked on the bank statement. That's the whole point of the reconciliation. Then you go through, you continue ticking everything off. Let's just say all this stuff matches. And then you're left with some items on the bank statement that aren't in Myob. So there's unticked items on the bank statement. So what you have to do then, you have to figure out why, and you've got a few options there, depending on how you run your books in Myob, whether you work off bank statements or whether you process everything beforehand. If you process everything beforehand and you think, oh, that should be in there, why isn't it in there? You've got to figure out why. So the chances are you've processed it to the wrong date. So maybe you processed it accidentally into June and we put the cutoff here of 31st of May, so that's why it's not showing up. So to figure something like that out, you go into Find Transactions. We'll go Advanced, Search All Accounts. We'd open the dates right up, because if it was only going to the 31st of May, just as the bank statement, the bank rec didn't show it, neither will our search. So you'd open it right up. And then the amount, say the amount in the bank statement that's not showing up in Myob was for $231. You type in here amount from 231 to amount 231. And then there would be a search button down here. Because it's read-only now, because the sample file isn't supported in Myob anymore, we're not able to do it. But you click search and it would bring it up. And provided our dates here are wide enough, so the search criteria is wide enough, and our dollar amount is correct, it will pick it up if it has been entered within those dates. And then you'll be able to see what account it was paid from. So for example, let's go have a look at a spend money, if we can find one. This should be one. So we're looking at a spend money here. And you'll see when you do your search, you can see what bank account it went from. So if you accidentally put it to general check account number 2 instead of general check account number 1, and we're reconciling general account number 1 here, then that's why it wouldn't be showing up in your bank rec. So you'd have to go back to your transaction, change it from general account 2 to general account 1, save it down here as you normally would be able to do if we weren't in read-only mode. And then when you went back to your bank rec, it would appear. You'd be able to see it. And then you'd be able to tick it off here, tick it off your bank statement. So that's one of the things that can happen. It can either be processed for the wrong date or the wrong account. As long as the account is correct and the date is before the bank statement cutoff here, it should be showing up in your list. Now for any other items that haven't been entered, what you're going to have to do is, if it was a bill that has been paid, so you see here we got payments, these are mostly sales, but for a bill, a purchase bill that hasn't been paid, you would have to go into your purchases section, purchases register. Again, you would open the dates up so you can see more of what you need to see. And then you can search by invoice number, supplier, and so forth. And we'd say we're on our bank statement and we could see that there was an item on there. Let's say it was this item here, and we can see that on our bank statement we paid $9,643.75 on the 15th of May. So we'd go into our invoice and we need to process a payment. So as you can see down here, there is a payment button, but it is grayed out. You would click into here. You'd be able to select the date that it was paid on the 15th of May, let's say. You would be able to select the amount that was paid. So if it was the full amount that was paid and you would click into the field, it would default to $9,643.75. But if only $9,000 was paid, we can enter $9,000 paid only with $643.75 remaining. So once you've put in the date, the amount paid, you click OK, and you go back to your bank rec, and then you would see the $9,643 here as a payment, but a withdrawal on the 15th of May. So we would have just processed a payment here. The same thing works with sales. If there's an item on your bank rec, a payment coming, or a sales invoice payment on the 20th of May on your bank statement, but not showing up in Myob, what probably has happened, we can do a search first through find transactions like we looked at before to see if it has already been entered but to the wrong date or for the wrong amount. But if it was an invoice payment that hasn't been entered, we'll go to our sales register. We'll open the dates up. We can look at open invoices, and then we can find it here. We can say, oh hey, we can see Footloose Dance Studio, $679.50, or actually that was what the invoice is for, but only $267.82 is remaining. And that was what was paid on the 20th of May. We'd go in here, click payment, put in the date for the 20th of May, the amount owing for the payment, $267.82. It will default to that. We'll click OK. Go back to the bank rec, and we will see $267.82 here on the 20th of May in the deposit column. So you'll be able to tick it off here, tick it off on your bank statement. That's how you do it for anything going through the purchase or sales register, basically anything that has an invoice. You're going to also come across receive monies and spend monies. A good example of a spend money will be for something, anything that doesn't have an invoice, basically. So this sort of stuff, you'll have to go in and enter if you haven't entered already. So you'll enter it, let's say it's the 2nd of May, $50. You can put in a card name, that's optional, or you can just put it in a memo. We'll just say some catering supplies. It might have just been some grocery purchases from the supermarket. I don't know if we'll have a catering category here. So we're going to say it's cleaning instead. Quick Cleaning, that's the name of the company. There might be a card for them as well. We're not going to bother about it for this example. The account code is cleaning, $50. It's GST free. They didn't invoice us. It's just a mate of ours who does a bit of work for us. And we paid him on the day, so there was no invoice. So we click OK down here, as you would normally be able to do to save the transaction. And then what will happen if you go back to your bank rec is you'll see $50 going out on the 2nd of May. So basically your spend monies are for anything, any expenses that do not have an invoice, or you do not run through your invoice register, your purchase register. So basically stuff that you just, probably small purchases where you just have receipts rather than an invoice. Receive money. This is anything that comes into your bank account that doesn't have an invoice to it. Same as a spend money, but on the other side, on the income side. So this could be something like bank interest, $20 of bank interest. We're just going to put it in the memo here. Or it could be any of this stuff, any of this income stuff. Okay, let's put it to photocopying income. Let's say you're running a print shop or something like that, and you got a bunch of photocopiers. People come in, they pay a couple of bucks, they do some photocopies. You don't invoice them. They just, it's such a small transaction, an invoice isn't necessary. They pay before they use the service. So that's why we're using a received money, because there is no invoice involved. It's just a straight transfer of cash from a customer to you. And then you click OK down here, as you would normally be able to do if we weren't restricted by read-only mode. You would go back to your bank rec, and then you will see $20 in the deposits column here coming in on the 1st of May. So received money, just like purchases, is for anything that doesn't run through the invoice register, anything that doesn't have an invoice involved. So you go through, you've entered everything on your bank statement that wasn't in Myob. So you've done a few entries, and now you've ticked them all off, and your bank statement has everything ticked off, and you've ticked it all off in Myob. So what should happen if you've done everything correctly is this closing statement balance, the closing balance on your bank statement on the 31st of May, the calculated state balance should also be 100,000. If it's not, that means you haven't ticked something, or one of the entries you've done was slightly out. So if it was out by 50 cents, the reason could be that one of these items here, let's say this one here, donations Red Cross, was actually $25, not $25.50. So you need to fix that up. You need to make sure it matches. And once everything matches, the out of balance will be 0, and you can click to reconcile down here, which it won't allow us to do as we are in read-only mode, but that's how you do it. And what will happen there, once you click reconcile, last reconcile date will change to 31st of May, and any items that you've ticked here will disappear off your list. So that next time you come in, or even now when you look at it, all you will be seeing is the unreconciled items. So all these items highlighted that we have reconciled will disappear from the list because they've been dealt with. But you can see all this stuff here on our list. When you complete a bank rec in Myob, once it's done, there should be nothing on your list. Whenever there is anything still showing here after you've completed a bank reconciliation, it is either something that has happened at the end of the period, like just a couple of days before your closing date, and it hasn't cleared the bank yet. For example, maybe you deposited a check and the check takes 3 days to clear, something like that. Or it is something that was not paid from this account, from the general check account number 1, because if it was, you would have picked it up in the bank rec. Or it is a duplicate transaction. So you've entered it twice by accident. You picked it up once when you did the bank rec, but that duplicate transaction, that one you entered for the second time in error, hasn't cleared. So it's still showing in your list. So what you need to do, you need to go back and work out why all of this stuff here hasn't cleared your bank rec. Because these are transactions that have been entered in Myob, that means it's on your general ledger, that means it's on your profit and loss, it's on your balance sheet. So it means your reports aren't accurate. So you need to go back and work all this stuff out. So you'd go back and you'd have a look at this one, you'd say Chelsea Mossett, 2376 withdrawal. You'd go do a search here. So we're looking for 2376. We want to look at all accounts. 2376 to 2376, and if you open the dates right up, we can't search because it's not letting us, we're read only. But what it would do, it would bring up a list of all the transactions for 2376 between these dates. It would bring up this transaction here, and what it might also do is bring up another 2376 for the same date. And then we'll click into that and we'll see that that other transaction has been reconciled, because a pop-up will come up on the screen saying this has already been reconciled. And then we'll click into this one here that's left over when we're in the find function find transactions where we just were, and nothing will come up saying it's been reconciled. So then what we would have to do is go in, go edit, and you would delete it, because we have proven that this item is a duplicate. So we delete the duplicate and we don't do anything with the correct one, which is already reconciled, because that, if we deleted that one by accident, it will throw out the bank rec. And you just work your way down the list. You need to find out here, why is it saying that there's 381.74 that was received on the 26th of March? If we're doing May, that's like a few months ago, 2 months ago. Why is it saying it's been received but it hasn't? So we go back into the find transactions and we do a search on 381.74. We open up the dates so we don't miss anything in case we put the date in incorrectly, and we see that there was 308. We see two of them. We see this one here, the payment, but we also see a received money for the same amount on the same date, and that one was reconciled. So what has happened there? It has been incorrectly entered as a received money in this example, when it should have gone through like this, because now you're showing two items in there. You're doubling up your income because you've got a payment on your sales register and you've got to receive money. So it's overstating your income. You're paying more GST than you have to. You're paying more income tax than you have to. So that's why this is important. Your reports are showing the wrong thing. So it looks like your business is doing better than it is. So in that case, this one here is actually the correct one because it's going through the sales register. It shouldn't have been entered as a received money. So you've got to delete that transaction. That will throw out your bank rec. So then what you have to do, you got to come back in here, enter your 31 of the 5/18 again, and then when you put in the closing statement here, that'll then be out by 381.74 because we deleted an item that was previously reconciled back in March. That has now thrown out the opening balance and has thrown out our May bank rec. So then all you have to do is click on the item, just like that, and then you'll see that this outer balance will go from 381.74 down to 0. And then you just check the balance here, matches your bank statement again, the date matches, just check all that stuff, and then click reconcile. That'll fix that. So yeah, you just got to go down your list. You'll see here there's some money transfers. If this stuff actually took place and it wasn't a duplicate, it shouldn't be on this list. So you just have to investigate, do a bit of troubleshooting why it hasn't cleared your list. And it will be a bit difficult at first, but you will get better at it. If you have a quick way if you want to enter like bank interest and bank charges quite quickly, you can click on here and go bank entry, and you can do it right from this screen, which is basically a spend money, receive money transaction. Spend money for bank fees, receive money for bank interest. You can also do it in your direct spend money or your direct receive money. So that's pretty much the gist of it, guys. The main points being, once everything has been ticked off on your bank statement and everything has been ticked off in Myob, you've reconciled it, all the numbers line up, there's no out of balance, everything's sweet, then you've got to make sure that all this other stuff here, it should be gone. It shouldn't be showing at all. So you need to work out why it's showing, and then you need to rectify it. Is it a duplicate? Then you need to delete the wrong one. Do you need to come back and do a re-reconciliation because the unreconciled item was the correct one and the reconciled item was the incorrect one? Were the dates wrong? Was the account wrong? So you just work it out and you narrow it down, and then at the end of the day, there'll be nothing here unless you had like an uncleared check right at the end of the month and it just hadn't cleared yet. But in most cases, this will be a blank list. Anyway, that's it for the video, guys. I hope you've learned something here. It was a bit difficult working through with a read-only version in the sample file here, but I think I hope I was able to get the message across. If you want to book in a training session, head over to our website. There's a link in the description. We can work out a tailored training session there. We can come out to your workplace. We can do an online session. We'll help you get going with that. We're also going to be putting up some bookkeeping courses that you can purchase from us to help you get on your feet without having to go do an expensive TAFE course or anything like that. We won't waste time on the stuff you don't need to waste time on. We'll just get you up and running so then you can get on with your business. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching. We'll catch you later.